Hello people, I'm Mr. Muff and I have 3v3 for you on the Operation Market Garden mod for Company of Heroes. I was told that this one is, quote, very close, so let's check out the opening units and get into it. On the Axis we have Stormtrout, Rockfist, and Tommy General. And on the Allies we have Clone, Stumagoo, and Robyman. So, this game is being played on the new patch. It's got a handful of balance changes, but more importantly than that, it has overhauled the population income economy, so the game accelerates much faster now. We'll see how that plays out in this game. Another side effect of the balance changes is that the Panzer IV is very popular now in opening call-ins, as you can see here from Stormtrout and Tommy General. And both of these players also have the Blitz Officer inside them, as you can see with these icons here. And over on the left side, we've got Rockfist starting with a support weapon call-in. This is actually more or less the exact same call-in that I use. Over on the top for the Allies, we have Clone playing as the British. He's starting with a Stuart light tank. It looks like the Allies are starting with some armored vehicles as well. Stumagoo with the Staghound, Robyman with a Sherman Jumbo, and then the light tank over here. The Sherman Jumbo was also overhauled in this patch. It was made tougher and slower. It's just sort of the gist of it. So Robyman is going to be using that, escorted by some mechanized infantry, which will receive a number of buffs by being near the Sherman. Other than that, Clone is starting with a bunch of Piats in the Bren section. I suspect he must have something else going on that is not very much pop. Oh, yes, of course, the Stuart. Right, so with all of that out of the way, Staghound and some infantry, machine gun. Axis, I imagine just some escorting infantry and more support weapons, yes. Stormtroopers with Panzerschrecks. Yeah, all that out of the way, let's get going and see what happens. So this Stuart is pretty quick. It got out of the gate early, and one of the Axis is starting with a scout here, yes. So we'll see who sees whom first. The Staghound also pretty quick getting up to the middle. Looks like Tommy is going to stop his bike halfway up. I'm not entirely sure why. You would think that they would send it down the road to see what's going on. Also, you can see the players commenting on the map. This map was tweaked a little bit. I believe it was widened. It was a fairly narrow map before. So, to start out with, Stuart has got his machine gun set up, his Vickers, and his Piats to sort of get Stormtrout to back off with his Panzer and Panzerschreck Stormtroopers. And meanwhile, Robyman is using the bulldozer on his Sherman Jumbo to crush through this hedge and break through and see if he can engage this Panzer IV, I imagine, with the mechanized infantry in tow. Meanwhile, in the middle, Tommy General is getting a flank on that to try to engage Robyman's mechanized infantry. They are going to back up after taking some light casualties. Over here, Clone doing a lot of damage against these infantry, looks like, but it does get taken down by Rockfist's pack. And the machine gun suppressing this other infantry. Clone is going to use the heroic charge from his lieutenant to get his infantry unsuppressed and back up. They're going to be slowed down at the end of this, so we'll see if Rockfist is able to chase him down. But meanwhile, Robyman's Jumbo is doing a heavy flank here in the back line, fighting two players. Now, the Jumbo's strength comes from its frontal armor. I don't believe any of its side or rear armor is any stronger. So he's going to want to be really careful doing this. It's taking a lot of damage with the frontal armor not facing a lot of these enemies. Does get it turned around, it's backing up. He also has the crew repairs active, so that's good. It's making it a little bit more durable. You can see the health regenerating actually fairly quickly from that. And the health wear and tear respective to it is not going down that quickly. So, having gotten that sorted around and having Stuart backing him up with the Staghound, he is now, it seems, getting the edge on this Panzer IV. It is backing off, having taken a lot of damage. The Stuart, unfortunately, not so lucky, taking damage from the Panzerschrecks, the AT gun, and the other Panzer IVs. That does go down. This other British infantry from Stuart also backing up out of this engagement. They don't want to get munched by both of these Panzer IVs next to each other. AT gun is moving up, perhaps in the event that Stuart moves his jumbo up a bit, but you can see he's in full retreat, and I believe the mechanized infantry can repair. So I imagine Robenman is just going to want to touch that up and then get it back in the fight. I know Robenman, in general, is a very aggressive player, and he typically does not like repairing his units. He thinks it takes too long and would rather just cycle out the tank. But the Jumbo is a very sturdy unit with a very long-lasting field presence, so he's probably going to... Yeah, see, he's relying on his allies to get it fixed up. Meanwhile, Panzer IV does go down to... That sounded like a 17-pounder, yes, 17-pounder from Clone. So that is one Panzer IV off the field. Meanwhile, in the back, the Axis have set up their first repair bunker. It's the only one I see so far, but I'm sure we can expect more, just like this one here. Stormtrout with more than one repair bunker with these starting Pioneer flamethrowers. Up at the top here, this machine gun from Rockfist yet again suppressing a whole bunch of Brit infantry. This is American infantry from Robenman. Robenman trying to steal this Panzerschreck, but without a lieutenant to fire these infantry up, it looks like he is going to get mulched. This flamethrower going to get decrewed, but the Panzerschreck infantry does make it out and is going to try to scare off this mortar. Maybe he can take it down, but Rockfist, playing as the defensive doctrine, does have sprint on his support weapon, so he's able to get out of there. But perhaps Robenman is going to destroy this machine gun with the Panzerschreck? No? Alright. Stu Magoo setting up a machine gun in this central building to just sort of protect Robenman while he gets this Sherman fixed up. The Sherman is up back to 350 health here. Max health is going down pretty quickly, though. It looks like these sappers that are repairing it are just basic sappers without the repair upgrade, so they're doing a lot of wear and tear. But if he can just get that health back up to fighting shape, he can just rely on his frontal armor to avoid taking damage in the first place. We'll go back over to the Axis to just sort of keep the colors consistent here for a while. That's green. I think this is how we had it set up before. An Ostwin on for... Oh wait, I know. This was a replay from Stormtrout. There we go. An Ostwin from Tommy General is on now, but that is, of course, a very bad matchup against the Sherman. However, he is apparently baiting the Jumbo in for attacks from the Panzerschreck. We'll see how the new frontal armor matches up against that, perhaps. Also, this pack gun sitting position. However, this clump of trees here appears to be a shot blocker, so he's going to have to either move up or get around this hedge here in order to engage. Looks like he is going to move up since the Sherman is backing off. Ostwin moving up to sort of push off this infantry away from the pack gun. But instead, the Ostwin is prioritizing the Jumbo, and so that's just going to have to back up again. Clone coming in with the Bren button, stunning the Ostwind, and then shooting the Piats over the hedgerow. This is not good for Tommy. This Ostwind just came on and is taking a lot of damage, is not getting its value out of that. Meanwhile, Stormtrout coming up the flank with the Panzer IV, but Robenman was able to quickly react and turn his Jumbo around to engage that. So Stormtrout is going to back off, fire his defensive smoke, and retreat and regroup. Rockfist making a very aggressive bunker here in the middle of the fight without anything to shoot it with HE. He is going to, I think, get away with it. And this is a machine gun bunker, so as soon as this goes up, this is going to be suppressing all of this infantry. Very interesting play from Rockfist. He is not the defensive player, is he? I lost track of who was the defensive player. If Rockfist is the defensive player, that is going to probably give it an HP buff. That is a doctrine unlock that defense can get, but it looks like he wasn't able to finish it. Bringing over these other Pioneers to try to finish it off. I suppose the ones that were building it have been defeated. Stuart's AT gun here is very damaged. One good hit from really anything is going to finish that off. Even a glancing blow from one of those mortars is going to be enough to finish this off. So he's going to bring it back and probably try to repair it with these sappers, yes indeed. His alternative option that he could do would be to build a healing station with these sappers and then use the healing station's healing to regenerate some of the HP on that without wear and tear. And then finish off the rest with the sappers, so we'll see if that's what he's going to do. That said, Clone actually already has a casualty clearing station up, so that's good. They have a way to sort of recycle their infantry while the Axis recycles their tanks. Both the Ostwind and the Panzer IV are being repaired by these repair bunkers. The repair bunkers target automatically, so there's not a large amount you can do about this. Unless Tommy were to move his Ostwind, then it's possible that it might. What I'm getting at here is I usually prefer, if it's possible, to have all of the repairs focus on one vehicle, then have them focus on the other vehicle. That way you can get one of them back in the action sooner. But, you know, maybe the Axis can hold on while both of these are repaired more slowly. The repair bunker does have some pretty quick repairs, so maybe it won't be so bad. Roverman coming on with a Sherman 105. I suspect that means he lost the Jumbo while I was looking at the repair bunkers. I do not see it on the field. So that is his replacement for it. The Sherman 105, of course, being a light artillery unit, sort of akin in role to the Churchill AVRE. Clone using some smoke grenades on his otherwise unupgraded infantry to slip past this machine gun and go for all these support weapons here. Interesting play. You don't see a lot of players use smoke grenades on their troops, but it looks like it's going to pay off. In this instance, he's able to decrew this pack gun, and if his teammates can take advantage of it, that does open the way for the other armored vehicles to come in on this side. Over on the right, meanwhile, Stuart has this machine gun set up in a machine gun bunker that he was built, that he built. But with the Panzerschrecks and the flamethrowers from Stormtrout, that isn't going to last very long, so he's going to try to pull it out and bring it back to this healing station. Going to set it up before the crew dies and he loses the gun, does get away with it, so we'll see if he's able to recover that. But Stormtrout, much like his ability to destroy this emplacement, is now in a good position to destroy this CCS if he is allowed to get away with it. Also going to try to steal this machine gun, but Rogenman is going to come in and see if he can have a say about that with his Sherman 105. Having a difficult time getting some line of sight here, and actually I believe he's turning it around to engage something else. Not sure what his plan is with that, we'll have to keep an eye on it. But Stormtrout does manage to turn around this machine gun. We'll see if he's able to suppress these rifles. He doesn't. He's just going to pack it up and move it back so that when it dies, it doesn't get recovered by the Allies. Here comes Clone with his Cromwell and Cromwell command tank to try to push some of these infantry around and protect... Well, not protect, I'm not sure what. There's not a whole lot out of there. He does want to be careful because there is some handheld AT here, the Piats, and then the Stormtroopers that he doesn't know about, and the Panzer IV. So he does back off, is getting some kills. 8 kills on the Cromwell, that's not bad. Stuart just seeing if he can get as much as he can out of this Bren section, do as much damage as he can before it gets defeated, not trying to defeat it. Unfortunately, the danger of doing that when it's a weapon, or a team with a weapon, he did drop this Bren gun, which the Axis are likely going to be able to pick up, because this Panzer IV is not really going to be able to... the Tommies are not going to be able to get at it with that Panzer IV there. Some vehicle goes down. I believe that was the Cromwell. That is the Cromwell. The Cromwell command tank is alive, but this Panzer IV probably is the one who did it there. Roboman looks like he is bringing his 105 up, perhaps for a barrage? Or maybe that's just the coaxial that's attempting to target. Oh no, this is just a regular Sherman. This is a regular Sherman. Where's the 105? Did you lose the 105 already? Nope, that's over here. So Roboman on the field with 2 tanks. A standard Sherman with a machine gun and a dozer, and a 105 Sherman with... maybe a bulldozer? No, no bulldozer. So, some more infantry engagements going on the right. This machine gun from Stormtrout doesn't have any kills, but it has been doing a good job just locking down the side and preventing any infantry from coming in. But if the Allies are able to recognize that there is basically nothing protecting this route here, it would be very easy to flank. There isn't really anything guarding it from that. So, if Stuart can recognize that and, say, bring... Nope, this isn't infantry, this is more support teams. I suspect he probably intends to mortar out with this machine gun and maybe some other things with that mortar. In the meantime, Clone's lieutenants are facing off against these grenadiers, and that is not what you want to see. Lieutenants do not have a lot of hit points, only 65 hit points on one guy. That's able to focus that down very quickly. Stormtrout does defeat both of those lieutenants. That's a big loss for Clone. Most players do not bring more than 2 lieutenants, so we'll see if he's able to have another one. Trying to capture this machine gun from Rockfist, but here we go, immediately from the lieutenants, right? He doesn't have the sergeant upgrade on these troops, so walking in enemy territory, they do move more slowly. So they weren't able to get to the machine gun in time, but he was able to use the tank to decrew it and then get on it right away. This Panzer IV trying to hold off these tanks together with this AT gun. This is a fairly dangerous matchup for these Allied tanks just with this AT gun here. It's a very effective counter to these tanks, but there are a lot of them. If they were to get aggressive, well, that window is closing now with the new AT gun coming over. If they were to get aggressive, have that 105, which I don't see. Ah, the 105 is dead. Regardless, if they were to get aggressive, they would be able to flank out that AT gun, but now there's another one coming over, as well as the Panzerschreck, so that opportunity has passed. Clone attempting to steal this AT gun, but was not able to, as Stormtrout brings in some Panzerschrecks to just try to cause some mayhem, decrew the stuff, and clear the way for all this infantry that has been shifting over. If he's able to kill this machine gun, that will be a big obstacle out of the way for that goal. One does go down. See if he's able to finish off this. He does. That machine gun is down. There's nothing stopping this infantry aside from the tanks, and with all of the AT gun support that the Axis has over here, as well as this decrewed 17-pounder from a mortar somewhere, that is going to let the Axis push up over here. However, the Allies are, in the meanwhile, taking advantage of the fact that the right side is not very heavily defended, as all of the Axis has shifted over to the left. So Stu is getting in behind all these troops with his own Cromwell and Cromwell command tank, doing a lot of damage, going to be able to kill this machine gun very easily, and there's no anti-tank over here to contest it. Stormtrout getting his pack gun in position, however, it's going to be too slow. Tommy General, a little bit quicker, he had his AT gun turned around in the right direction, but Stormtrout's AT gun, there it is, there's the poke, but it was not set up properly. Now these tanks do see this artillery that's coming on from Rockfist. Over on the top, it seems as though the Axis were not able to push in quite as effectively as they might have liked. But this repair bunker is at the very least pinning down Robiman's infantry with the Panzerschreck that I believe he was just able to steal just now. This motorbike from Tommy General is not going to last very long if he doesn't move it against that tank. But they reply over here from Stormtrout to this attack on the right side is a Panther. Doesn't look like Stuart really has any heavy anti-tank. He's got this Piat, but if he's not careful, that could be easily crushed by the Panther. And this Panther is more than a matchup for this Cromwell, especially as heavily damaged as it is. Looks like he's going to back up, not really wanting to get hit by this Piat. But in doing so, he is basically just letting the target priority automatically target. Ah, I see. He was backing up so that the rocket artillery could hit this. Walking Stukas do a decent amount of damage against tanks, so he doesn't want to get hit by that. The flamethrower half-track coming in to try to clean up some of these troops and weapons. He does go down to the Cromwell, and the Piat. However, the Piat does go down, and without any artillery in position, that... I don't understand this. Stormtrout would have a very easy time finishing off this Cromwell were he to get aggressive. He could easily just crush through this head row, but instead it looks like he shifted over to the middle, perhaps to scare off this Cromwell that has a lot more hit points. Not entirely sure the motive behind that, but Robenman, probably I believe this is another fresh Sherman. 2 Shermans on from Robenman right now, both with the bulldozer upgrade. Going to be facing off against this Panzer and Panther. Not a good matchup, but Axis is not focusing on that. They're focusing on this AT gun before it can get into action, and they are able to destroy it. So that is a mark in their favor, as they have their own AT gun up here. Robenman's Sherman taking a lot of damage, gunner killed. Robenman triggering the advanced repairs to try to get a little bit more longevity out of it. While Clone has this, it does go down, while Clone has this Churchill tank to sort of bolster their armored forces over here. Churchill's not very good in the anti-tank role, but they have a lot of armor and a lot of hit points to just sort of soak this damage. Stuart bringing over his Piats to shoot over this obstacle here to get the Panther to back up. And he does indeed. Robenman does have a triage center over here, so that'll help them get their infantry cycled on the right. Don't know where that CCS is. Maybe it was destroyed. But it does look like the Axis are slowly but surely, at the moment at least, pushing back the Allies. However, they are taking a lot of losses in doing so in terms of infantry. That Knight's Crossholder going down for not very much is a big loss, although I don't know if the Axis have any way to heal their troops. So that heavy damage on the KCH does sort of render them of limited usefulness either way. Rubenman pushing up with his infantry to try to force back this these weapon grenadiers. One of them has a Panzerschreck, the other one has a machine gun, which does pose a threat to most of the stuff, but with the machine gun and the tanks pressuring it, they aren't going to last very long, so they do back off. Another artillery barrage coming in from Rockfist. His defensive upgrade that gives him incendiary rounds for that is going to destroy this machine gun crew, but Roverman is not letting up. There is no machine gun from the Axis to stop him from bringing up his infantry, and while these grenadiers are still suppressed from that machine gun, which is no more, he is going to take out that Panzerschreck. It doesn't get dropped, but that is another threat off the board for Roverman's Shermans, which now are going to get aggressive. He did see that this pack backed up, not under cloak, so he is going to just try to get in here and do as much damage as he can. Does destroy the mortar. See if he can get the Panzerschreck. He does. So all the Axis now has left in this area are these two AT guns. Stormchild is going to shift his over to try to engage that Sherman. Meanwhile, the other allies are really not getting quite as aggressive. I imagine Roverman would like to see the others push up with him over here, or at the very least sort of complicate how the Axis would like to deploy these packs by bringing up more infantry, but it seems as though Roverman, for the time being, is going to have to be content with just taking this one sector. He does have his infantry neutralizing that and does capture it. The population, the Axis, with their sort of early advantage, have gotten the population up to 40, and that's only 20 minutes in, so that is much faster than usually happens. However, the Allies are still gaining pop. They do have sort of an equal amount. I think they have a slight advantage in the population. Yeah, they do, because the Allies are red with this perspective here. And they are going to get this center sector here too. So if they're able to hold on to this, once they hit 40 pop, the Axis are going to start losing population. Stu getting a little bit aggressive here with some of his troops, bringing up this recon infantry. See if he has a recon snipe in store. Doesn't look like he does. But this grenadier does go down, and now Stewart is going to get into this building, provide him some cover against these grenadiers from Tommy. However, Tommy does have the weapon. Stewart has better cover, but less health. Not entirely sure who has the better matchup there, but at the very least, I do know Tommy General is going to take some casualties on this expensive infantry if he keeps fighting like this. You'd want to see Stormchild get out of this building with his Volks grenadiers and let Tommy get into the building with his expensive infantry. Meanwhile, over here, Clone, playing the Scots Engineers, is going to hull down his tanks while he repairs them with his advanced repair sappers, going to get a lot of health on that Cromwell very quickly, while the Cromwell, I believe this is a Cromwell command tank because the thing is broken here. Let's shift to his perspective real quick. Yes, this is a Cromwell command tank, which was formerly a reward unit, so a limited use unit that was only available to Patreon supporters and prevalent community members, people who do shoutcast, recruit new players and such. But in this last patch, it was changed to a standard unit. And so the interesting thing is that, as far as I'm aware, the buffs from the two command tanks do stack. And so if, for example, we had a third tank on here, that would benefit from both of those units. However, neither command tank actually has a gun. Or is this just a oh, I'm sorry. This is just a regular Cromwell benefiting from the command tank. You can see that by the little radio bonus here. So my mistake. However, were he to bring on two command tanks, as I have seen some other players do, that's a lot of population for not very much weaponry, because neither does have a gun. But disregard everything I was saying before. This is just a regular Cromwell, which he's trying to fix up here. So the Allies have gotten a majority territory. You can see that by their faster population income. The Axis, of course, at 40, so it doesn't matter too much for them. But the Allies are gaining over 1 pop per minute here, so at 38, they are going to get that equalized fairly soon, and then the Axis is going to start draining pop. Probably at a slow rate so far. But for the time being, it looks like the Allies do have a slight advantage. The Panther here from Stormtrout, only 3 kills, but he does have 2 tanks under his belt, so that's pretty solid. Looks like the Cromwell has left its hull down position to try to get some pot shots on this infantry over here. Does look like he got some kills, perhaps on a medic who was trying to bring some troops back for this medic bunker to try to get some walking wounded. Rogueman getting his Sherman fixed up by Clone's advanced repair sappers now that they are no longer servicing his Cromwell tank. But a little bit of a lull here in the battle, just some light skirmishes going on. Stormtrout seeing if he can get some hits in on this machine gun bunker with the Panther. The machine gun on this is facing the wrong way, so if you were to bring up some infantry too, they would actually not get suppressed right away. Some rocket artillery coming down, but that is incendiary artillery, which does not really do much damage against armored vehicles, and besides which, it doesn't really hit a whole lot anyway, so not a very effective barrage in this case. Roverman does have a sniper on, which is, I think, probably a good choice here, because he's got the AT gun, the machine gun, and the Sherman to protect it. So if he uses it effectively, he would be able to get a lot of mileage out of it. However, the M4 Sherman takes a big hit from this Flak 88 from Rockfist, as well as this AT gun from Tommy, loses the main gun and is down to less than 1 health. You can see it's 0 here, so basically it just needs to get a crit on it and it's dead. That was a hit, but not a crit, so that's 0 hit points. And I would not be surprised to see him just pull it off. Some mortar hits coming down from somewhere. This mortar team from Tommy General whittling down this infantry over here. This Cromwell command tank moving up in another hold-on position just to sort of be a hit point soak, I imagine, for the other units. Meanwhile, a mortar from the Allies, Stuart has made a mortar emplacement for his mortar, and is going to be a bit of a nuisance, I imagine, with that. But there's not a lot of it in range. I don't believe I can see the range even if I switch to his perspective. No, I cannot. But Brit mortars don't have a very long range. But I believe Stuart is playing as RCA. I believe he told me that, so the range on that is going to be significantly extended. So he does have that going for him, but otherwise there's not a lot for him to hit. These KCH are mobile, this Panther is very sturdy. So really just some light skirmishes going on over here. However, Clone does sneak his 17-pounder up into range using the line of sight from somebody to get a pretty solid hit on this Panther. We'll go back to the default perspective. But yeah, big hit, big chunk of damage in on this Panther. It's now down to less than 300 hit points. But for the time being, the game seems to have slowed down a little bit, while both sides are perhaps licking their wounds. I think the Allies more so than the Axis doing all these repairs. The Axis Panther is going to back up to these repair bunkers for the same reason. Are these... yeah, these are just the repair pioneers from the repair bunkers. There are 3 sets of them now, so there are 3 repair bunkers up. 4, in fact. 4 repair bunkers up from the Axis, so this Panther, you can see its health going up very rapidly. It's going to be in fighting shape again before too long. This sniper from Tommy General now, that is different from the sniper from Roverman. I don't know if Roverman's sniper is still on, we'll have to look for it. But a sniper run from Tommy General now, have not seen any reply from the Axis regarding a sniper counter. No counter sniper of their own, no anti-sniper Jeep call-ins, machine gun call-ins. So I don't know if they have seen the snipers yet, or they're just waiting opportunity to use it. Stormtrout bringing up a machine gun to try to stop this infantry on the right from probing up. There are 2 players over here. Roverman actually, in fact, is spread across basically the entire map. He's got all of his armored vehicles, or vehicles in general, over here. And he's got his infantry over here. That did sound like an artillery piece. Looks like it's coming in on the Axis, which means it's in the back somewhere. Yes, that is Stuart's priest, so he is in fact playing as RCA. He's got a supercharged priest. Shelling the 88, I imagine, but so far going wide. Probably just a blind barrage, did not have line of sight, so the barrage is going to be very inaccurate. The Panther, now fully repaired, is coming back into action, but it's going up against 2 sappers with Piats, but they are being suppressed by the machine gun, so they are losing some accuracy. He only takes 1 hit, not too bad, but he is at less than 400 health, so he's going to want to be a little bit careful with that. But in the meantime, he is getting basically some free hits now that these troops are suppressed by the machine gun. However, this machine gun is being mortared by the supercharged mortar, and they're taking a lot of damage. 1 more hit could do it. Looks like he's packing it up. He does get out. Looks like he's going to get away with it. And I think he did trigger a med kit on it. Looks like it is regaining health and is going to switch buildings to continue pinning down this infantry so the Panther can get aggressive again. If he targets this Piat, he will be able to finish it off. It only has 23 health. Taking its time to set up, and it looks like it has gotten cloaked, so it is safe for the time being. Panther looks like it's going to back off. In the middle, this middle sector is neutral, while there's two different factions in here. Both of these players have these two Grenadier squads in here, as well as these Volks to sort of contest this sector so that the allies who are in here cannot capture it. However, the Axis are losing pop now. They are down to 38. So it does begin. We are now in the later phase of the game, where one side is beginning to lose pop. We'll see if the Axis are able to stop that bleed, but in the meantime, big hit on this AT gun from I don't know what. Yes, the 88 is aiming in the direction. The 88, really, the biggest role of the 88, it does two things. One, it just sort of denies this area. But two, its main job is just to destroy AT guns. The armor penetrating power on the 88, I was recently informed, is actually not that good. So against things like this Churchill, and if it were still on, the Sherman Jumbo would not actually be that effective, but it does do a great job destroying anti-tank guns. It's very accurate, it's very easy to hit these anti-tank guns if it does have line of sight on them. Currently it does not, but you saw that big hit that it got on the A57mm here. So the Allies want to be careful about that. The 17-pounder in particular is a very big target for that. Tommy General trying to empty out this bunker, and he does. He's going to crew it now. That is a pretty decent win for the Axis in this little skirmish here. The Axis are able to hold on to this trench that is going to be a big nuisance for the Allies in the Axis' attempt to grab the sector back and equalize the pop once more. Rockfist trying to capture this territory here, and he does. This Jeep, of course, not contesting it being a vehicle. And Stewart not able to stop it in time with his Tommy squad. So, this trench that Tommy was able to capture is being mortared by another mortar emplacement, this one from Clone. These not being a supercharged mortar because Clone is playing as the engineers. But it is well in range of these troops, however they don't seem to be taking that much damage. Allies getting aggressive over here on the right. Roverman pushing into this enemy sector, trying to get his anti-tank gun and his Sherman in position to fight this Panther, but the KCH and the other various infantry coming up to try to decrew some of this stuff. Looks like he's going for the machine gun, but does not pay off. The anti-tank gun is going to live. However, it is very low on health. The 88 might destroy it. It does. 88 takes out the anti-tank gun, which is going to let this Panther, now up to full health, only 387 of 387, come in, get aggressive on the Panther 4. Looks like he's going to go for the crush on the sniper, which did reveal itself with a snipe on, I'm not sure what. The Sherman is very likely going to go down here unless somebody is able to come in and save the day, and the sniper does get crushed. So, great double whammy, nice play here from Stormtrout, takes out both the sniper and the Sherman with the Panther, and that is going to clear the way for the Axis if they recognize this to move in. Looks like the artillery is getting in position to make a barrage, but really you just want to see the Axis shift over all the troops that they can and clear out this just sort of general infantry. That's all they have contesting this sector here. This is an easy sector that the Axis can get back to try to slow down this pop lead that they're suffering from. Of course, this machine gun emplacement is going to slow down their advance in this next sector, but they have cleared out this sector and are going to neutralize it. And it looks like they have done so in the middle as well. No, yes, they have done so in the middle as well. They have captured this middle sector, and they have evened up the population, so they are gaining population now. Incendiary barrage on this 17-pounder decrews it. The Axis recognize that. This is an opportunity for them to move up some more as these Piats retreat. This is a fine opportunity for some AT gun or armored vehicle to come up and destroy the 17-pounder, deny it, and clear the way for the Panther to move up some more. A half-track on from Rockfist. This could mean that he is bringing on a sniper, as half-tracks are common tools to shield snipers from Jeep rushes. So we'll have to see what comes out of that. Here it is. Rockfist is bringing on a sniper, probably to try to counter-snipe Tommy's sniper, which only has one kill on it. Roverman's sniper is down, so the only sniper he has to worry about, it's a one-on-one. Tommy seems to be very conservative with the sniper, and I imagine his teammates would like to see him be a little bit more aggressive with it. However, it's going to be dangerous for him to do that now that an enemy sniper is on the field that he doesn't know about. Getting very aggressive with the sniper spotting, but he's going to run into this half-track, which I guess the half-track does not have stealth detection, so that's something I learned today. They're going to get away with it. Yeah, it looks like he's scouting, I imagine, for the artillery. Speaking of artillery, the mortars look like they're going to decrew this pack. One more good hit will do it. The Panther is moving up. There is not solid anti-tank for the Allies on this side. In fact, I don't see any anti-tank except for these Piats. Anti-sniper call in for the Allies, so either one of two things has happened. Roverman is running out of stuff, which he is loath to do. He's a very aggressive player. He burns through his company very rapidly. Or they were able to sort of figure out that this half-track probably is a signal that the Axis have a sniper. Roverman going in. I think what Roverman is trying to do here, the third option, is just to decrew some AT guns. That is another thing that Roverman likes to do with his Jeeps, is to just flank around, weapon emplacements. You know what? I bet he's going for the 88. I think he's going for the 88. Try to decrew the 88 and let the Allies make a push. And that said, the Allies don't really seem to be in very good of a position to push. So we'll just have to keep an eye on these and see what they do. I'll put one of these in a control group so we can easily switch back. But other than that, Allies not having a very easy time taking this sector back. Or no, they have the sector, but not a very easy time pushing up. Roverman just putting these Jeeps in the back line, seeing what's coming on. Some more Jeeps. Roverman has a lot of Jeeps. He has 6 Jeeps on the field. So he must have another call-in that has a couple Jeeps in it, among other things. The Panther is trying to contest these Jeeps, but the Jeeps do have what is called dodge armor. They have a lot of moving incoming accuracy debuff, so as long as they're on the move, this Panther's going to have a hard time hitting it. However, not so for the 88. The 88 seems to have very good accuracy against Jeeps, even if they are moving. So he's going to pick these off one by one. That's 3 for 3. This fourth one, very likely to go down with the fourth. Does miss. Looks like this Jeep is going to get away. It is now moving into AT barrage, but he is going to take out the sniper from Tommy General, I believe. Yes, he does. Sniper goes down with only 1 kill. Very, well, unfortunate, but also, you know, probably, I mean, that sniper was on for a very long time. I don't know what the timestamp was, but it would have been great to see him be a bit more aggressive with that. So very unproductive sniper from Tommy General, soaking up a lot of pop for a long time in this game for basically no impact. These tanks from Clone I have not seen really doing a whole lot. You would think sort of in well, I say that. This is, I believe, is a new AT gun from Stewart, but now with this new AT gun from Stewart, escorted by this infantry, you'd like to see this tank move up. This Panther, I mean, the Allies have to suspect this Panther's getting run and torn. They've been getting hits on it, and they've been seeing how much health it's losing. So you'd like to see them get aggressive, take advantage of these shot blockers to sort of keep the anti-tank out of line of sight of this Flak 88 and use it to protect their tanks, and use that to protect the infantry and the artillery to sort of decrew this machine gun. That would be a prime opportunity to make a push on this 88. The crew is injured. You know, 1 good artillery barrage, and this is ripe for the taking. But it looks like they're not going to make a play on that. However, Roverman making a play for the sniper almost kills it, but not quite. It is going to take shelter inside this half-track. However, the half-track is heavily damaged if they're able to get one good hit on it from something. But it looks like probably that might not be the best idea on account of this 88 that is protecting this. So Rockvis is going to back up this damaged, very limping half-track a little bit. I don't think the Axis have any healing. They don't. They do have a defensive player, but it looks like the defensive player either doesn't have a medic or the medic came on and already died. So I don't know if they have any way to heal the sniper unless Rockfist has a medkit on it, and for some reason some players don't do that, which I don't understand. Snipers are such important assets. In my opinion, you always want to put a medkit on it, which he does seem to do. It is regenerating health. You can see the little aura on it for the health kit. So good job to Rockfist. His sniper is going to be back into fighting shape soon. However, the 88 has been decrewed. by a mortar somewhere. So if the Allies are able to recognize that, this is a good opportunity to try to push in if they're able to sort of get all the units together. Roboman does have another jumbo on. Has taken some damage, but it's getting the crew repairs on. The short barrel on the jumbo is going to have a hard time penetrating the Panther, but the frontal armor on the jumbo is equivalent to the armor that the Axis Jagdpanther has. That's sort of the template that they use. So I imagine the Panther, at least at range, is not going to have a very easy time penetrating the jumbo either. A little bit of an awkward matchup. Rockfist's sniper getting back into the action now at full health. It only has 4 kills to its name, but with all of the jeeps out of the way from Robyman and the other players being Brits, I think he is pretty safe now in his usage of the sniper, able to scout out for the 88, provide it with line of sight, and otherwise get aggressive with it. However, that said, Clone coming in with a Churchill Crocodile is going to try to use the flamethrower to decrew the 88. It does with the help of the mortars, and with that out of the way, he's going to use this as sort of a vanguard for the rest of the forces to come in. Needs to get these other troops in here, get these other tanks in here, needs to get his allies to come in with him, screen with the infantry, provide some extra targets, otherwise these tanks are going to go down for, to be quite honest, very little. Got an artillery barrage coming in, does take out the half-track. I don't know if the sniper is in there or not. It is. And the sniper goes down to the artillery, so that sniper goes down with only 4 kills. A lot of very unproductive snipers this game. But the 88 is still decrewed, not destroyed, and it looks like the Churchill has gone down, and the Cromwell is going to get out of there using its flank speed. Going to go around for a flank with the flank speed, but is only shooting at the Ostwind. You'd like to see him just try to peek around in here, get a hit. I see. They're going to rely on... Well, I thought that was a hit from some Piats, but not so much. You would have liked to see him, because he didn't... I don't know if he knew these stormtroopers here, but with flank speed, he easily could have come in, gotten a shot, and backed out before this Panzer VI had an opportunity to shoot. However, the Panzer IV is going to live for now. It does have a destroyed engine, however, so he's going to want to get some repairs on that, or to suicide it and replace it. So at this stage, the population, well, I was going to say the population is fairly even, however the Allies' Roboman is doing some back-cap over here, but other than that, the sort of game has just been a little bit of a stalemate over here. Some limited attacks from one side or the other, really just from one player at a time, taking out some units and then going down themselves, so really the players seem to really just sort of being playing for attrition rather than any sort of coordinated aggression to take territory and deny the enemy population. Aside from, again, this very successful back-cap that Roboman is going on right now, and the Axis are now down to 35 pop already. I said the population economy was changed. This is exactly what I'm talking about. In the later stages of the game, we are 40 minutes in now. The population drain is very aggressive. All right, the Axis are now losing 1.5 pop at whatever rate that happens. I believe that's per minute. And so I suppose I missed when this was happening, but Roboman is going to neutralize this sector as well. Now over 1.5 pop, and they are draining pop. They're already down to 34. So if the Allies are able to take out some Axis assets right now, before the Axis are able to sort of get their population back, they would be at a bit of a strategic advantage, just sort of having more units on the field than the Axis do, more population at their disposal. However, it looks like the Panther is going to catch up to Roboman, and I doubt these infantry have sticky bombs. If they did, they would probably be able to kill this Panther, only 56 health. Look how much it's been cycled. Its maximum health has gotten down to less than 300. But the Axis are going to stop the back half, but they are still bleeding pop, down to 33 now. And Roboman looks like that was the last of his units, just sacrificing his remaining rifles to try to give his allies a population advantage. And having done that, the Allies are now going to be pushing in, it looks like, with some heavy tanks from the Scots Engineers and a Firefly from Stuart, as well as a command tank. He wants to get this command tank to escort the Firefly. Is he repairing it? That's at max health. He needs to get that in there. The command tank gives some very significant bonuses to the Firefly. It extends the range so that it outranges the Panther. It increases the rate of fire. It increases the accuracy. It's a really big deal to get this command tank escorting the Firefly. However, the cloaked stormtroopers are going to get some hits on the Firefly. But Clone's Churchill Crocodile is here to save the day, going to use its flamethrower and its tank shock to suppress these infantry and burn them. They're going to try to cloak away. The one man is cloaked, so that one guy looks like he's going to get away. Now he's going for the 88. The 88 is destroyed by the main gun. However, there is the pack gun here. The pack gun is also decrewed, I imagine, by that flamethrower. So all that's left to stop these tanks are these the very injured Panzer IV, which goes down to the Firefly, and the very injured Panther, which will also very easily go into that Firefly if Firefly is able to get a good hit on it. Stuart really needs to get this tank up here, command tank. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe he's just forgot that it's there, or maybe he's not paying attention. New sniper on from Stormchild. But at this stage of the game, the Allies are pushing up very heavily, and the Axis have a lot of very important assets. I would like to see, unless Stormchild is over pop, what is his pop looking like right now? I would like to see Stormchild give a last hurrah with this Panther, do as much damage as he can, and then replace it, unless the Axis are planning on giving up. Alternatively, he is pulling it off, wants to preserve the vet. It has gotten a lot of kills. No, looks like he's going to keep it in the fight. Go for that Firefly. Looks like he's going to rear hit on the Firefly at maximum range. There it is. Great hit. And Rockfist bringing in probably the last of his stuff. That's his anti-sniper call, and I don't think the Allies have a sniper, so this is just what he's got. Probably going to try to block the Firefly so the Panther can get up and finish it off. Very nice play with these motorbikes, yes, for sure. He's coming around to the front, he's going to turn it around, try to block it. Does slow it down. Panther is coming in. He's going to just shoot across this trench here. Got to get the target priority on the Firefly. He needs to click on the Firefly. Come on. Oh, it looks like it's going to get away. He's worried about these Piats, as were the crew. The auto-targeting on the Panther, targeting these Piats instead of targeting the Firefly, which is outside its range. So the Firefly is going to live for now. Motorbikes are going to back off so that they don't waste their efforts. However, I think the Allies might have this in hand. Destroying the repair bunkers here with the Churchill Crocodiles, and a good side hit from this Churchill might destroy this Panther. Good hit from the Panther on the Churchill. Bounce from the Churchill. The main gun on the Churchill is not very good, but I figured a side hit at the least might penetrate. But it looks like Stormchild is going to try to get the most he can out of this Panther, not pulling it off yet. He has been pushed back to the very end of the map, and he has positioned himself near one of the deployment zones, so if he needs to, he can pull it off. However, this Firefly is very damaged, and if the Axis is able to take out this Firefly, and there it goes, using the motorbikes to distract its targeting priority, and then the Panther comes up and finishing it off, this Churchill Crocodile is not going to be able to take on this Panther, especially again with the target priority targeting the bikes. But even then, a frontal hit, especially at this range, he's going to instead just hull down and try to tank as many hits as he can, but I don't think the Allies have anything left to kill this Panther. I think this Panther is going to win the day with how much health? 59. They do have one repair bunker left, it looks like. But I think, despite being pushed back to their spawn, unless they lose on population, because they're down to 29 now, the Axis might have this in hand. I might be speaking too soon. Stuart has found a pack gun, and he's turning it around. I think the Axis know this. I think they saw him through it before they cloaked it. And they are, in fact, going to try to hit it with artillery. A little bit of a miscalculation, but Stuart is moving it into the incendiary artillery. It might get burned to death. It does. It gets decrewed, and I don't think the Axis have anything in position to crew it. It might even just come down to using these repair sappers. No, the recon are going to go for the pack. It is in position, but not facing in the right direction. So Stormchild is simply going to maneuver his Panther to get behind it, and that is, I think, probably GG for this pack gun. Once a tank gets in position like this, it is very difficult to get around it. That said, Stuart is going to use his command tank to try to block it. The Panther does have to back off after taking a bounce to its side armor. That was very lucky for the Panther. It is now down to 2 health. And the pack gun is decrewed again. Going to be destroyed by the Panzerschreck. And I think that is it for the Allies. This Panther with 2 health is going to win the game unless the Allies can win on territory, because they have a massive territory advantage, which Tommy is slowly neutralizing with this one Volksgrenadier. If the Allies were able to stop this from happening and capture all these back, they might win on territory. However, There's a fresh Cromwell on from Stewart. Oh, buddy, guys. This is coming down to the wire. The Churchill Crocodile doing the last damage it can to try to destroy this AT gun. And it does. I retract everything I said about who's going to win. I have no idea how this is going to go. This Panther has 2 health, 1 good hit from this Cromwell. If he triggers flank speed on this and gets a side hit, right, just ignores this Panzerschreck, right? Just disregard the Panzerschreck, hit flank speed, get a hit in the side or the rear of the Panther. That would be, I think, to be honest, game for the Axis and have the match in hand for the Allies, because they do have this infantry left to take on this Panzerschreck. Looks like he is going for it. No, backing off. Clone is off the board, so no more Churchills in play here. Cromwell just whittling down the Axis infantry. Come on, Stewart, you can do it. Just get in there. You've got more health than he does. You've got so much more health than he does. Artillery barrage going for the Panther, but the Panther is already moving out of the way. Everything hinges on this Panther for the Axis right now. It's just down to the repair bunker, the motorbike, and the artillery for the Axis, and this one-man Volk-Squad who is doing his best to equalize the territory here. Not that the territory gain, the population gain or loss matters at this point, but they at the very least need to not lose in population. So the Axis are going to rely on that for the moment to try to get some extra health on this Panther. Don't tell me the Allies are pulling off. Do not tell me the Allies are pulling off. Oh no. Come on, guys. Just one aggressive play on this Panther and you have it with the Cromwell. This Cromwell can easily take out this Panther even with only 200 health left. Some motorbikes from Stormtrout coming up to... I mean, this has got to be his last call-in, right? Just coming up to scout out what the Allies are doing. Stewart is pulling off his priest and pulling off his tanks. I am shocked. I think the Axis won this one. No? Turning around? Or no, this is just pathing. Probably just clicked on this and the pathing takes him down the road here. Holy cow, people. The Axis have done it, and I'll be honest, I don't think they should have. I think the Allies should have won this. All Stewart needed to do was, when that Cromwell had full health, get aggressive, even without flank speed. He didn't need flank speed. Flank speed would have made it easier. But all he had to do was charge that Cromwell up and get a good side hit on the Panther, and that would have been GG for the Axis. The Allies could have had this. But there it is. That heroic Panther from the Axis hanging on by a thread. Great work from Stormtrout with this Panther. 23 kills, 8 tanks, and 4 buildings on this Panther. Now brought up to 125 health. Look how much this Panther has been cycled. Now down to 242. Were to get up to full health again, I imagine it would be down to perhaps 220, even 200. Axis got a huge amount of mileage out of this Panther, just using its repair bunkers to cycle it back up to full health. And using that, they were able to just attrition down the Allies. Some great plays to take out the Firefly. And that's what did it. Despite all of the Allies' aggression, they didn't have infantry left to stop this back cap. If they had, they might have won on population drain. The Axis down to 26 pop, right? Without this, I think the Axis would have been forced off the field by the population drain rule. So a couple ways the Allies might have had this in hand. I'll be honest, there were some misplays. You know, I like to say, you know, sometimes it comes down to fate, but I think the Allies could have had this in hand. But Stormtrout with his Intrepid Panther was able to hold the line. And the Allies pulled off, and so that's the game. Really came down to the wire there. And I think it came down to some decisions by the players, one way or the other. You know, I do benefit. We benefit from sort of the omniscient view. The Allies might not know what the Axis have left. They might think maybe they have an AT gun. You know, they might think that that Panzerschreck squad has more Panzerschrecks than it does. So, you know, I can't judge them too harshly. I was not in their shoes. Maybe, you know, they had some uncertainty, but, you know, you can't win without taking some risks. So that's how this one shook out. And thanks for watching it with me, folks. I'll see you in the next one.